Delving into the Canon versus Fujifilm experience, I'm going to speak on some pointers, and these points are usually how I'm going to categorize my experience. So it's going to be first about the ecosystem, secondly the durability, three the color science, price point, battery life, and the creative sense. How do these cameras inspire you to be creative essentially? That will be for my set point. In our part of the world, in Ghana, Canon tops it in terms of the ecosystem. Like you are able to find a Canon lens or get a Canon body, a Canon battery. It's very easy to get the accessories, and that makes working with Canon very easy and simple. Unlike the other brands, you are sure to see the next photographer you would encounter on a job using Canon or using anything that is Canon branded, and so that makes the ecosystem for the Canon brand quite good and easy to be in. You don't struggle to get purchases on lenses, on batteries, on accessories and all that. It's quite smooth sailing. However, on the Fujifilm side, it's not that easy. Now people are selling Fuji equipment and lenses. It's not, compared to when I started using Fujifilm, it has improved. It has significantly improved, and that is something to be to me, I feel it's encouraging. But the thing then is, for instance, you may desire to buy a particular lens or a particular prime lens, and people are selling lenses, and the unfortunate thing is that they don't sell that particular one you may want. So that is where the issue of having to be in the Fujifilm ecosystem in Ghana is. It's not easy to come by Fujifilm batteries. That is the truth of the matter. You may either have to resort to buying them from outside, and you know our regulations on batteries and stuff. It's not very easy to just buy a battery and then it be shipped down. I think for purposes of it being sometimes being used as explosives and all that, so there are laws that restrict the purchase of just batteries. However, when you buy your gear, it will come with a battery inside, but you cannot buy a battery. Per my experience, I know maybe it would also be the same. Per my experience, it's easy to just buy with a battery inside the equipment or the camera body, but to buy a battery as an accessory, most of the time, it's very difficult to do that. So you may have to rely on friends who are coming from overseas to buy batteries so that they bring it to you. And there's also the other bit of third-party batteries. Third-party batteries, you can somewhat, I would say 50%, somewhat easily get, but they are not. Then again, they come with their own issues. They do not last a while, and you may want to also consider that. Some third-party batteries on the Fujifilm platform are good, but from my experience, some also bloat after constantly using them for some time. So on the ecosystem, Canon tops it. That is in the Ghanaian context. Canon tops it with the ecosystem, but Fujifilm is catching up, and I know probably in the next, let's say 3 to 5 years, the situation will improve, definitely. Durability, let me describe it this way. I can use a Canon camera, so this is what will make somewhat my judgment not too correct, because with the Canon experience that I've had, it has had to do with their DSLRs. I haven't owned a Canon mirrorless yet, so, but from the little I've seen from my colleagues, it looks like you would have to be careful. It has to do with the mirrorless systems. With the mirrorless systems, you would have to be careful in terms of the handling, and so that has to be something you would keep in mind. But if you are referring to the DSLRs, I can use the Canon DSLR without, you know, thinking of where to put it, how to hold it, how to pack it into the bag and all that. But with a Fujifilm, it feels like you're holding an egg. You have to be careful how you put it, how you hold it, how you pack it into your bag. I mean, where you would want to drop it off and all that. It comes with some sort of mental alertness. So in this case, for handling, I may say Canon tops it here. So now the issue of color science, from my experience, then again, hands down, Fujifilm tops this category. So if you're a photographer and your main point is to have beautiful colors and imagery, then you would have to look at considering Fujifilm. I mean, I do sometimes miss the Canon platform, and then where I'm brought face to face with the experience of editing Canon and Fujifilm in a project, I go like, yeah, the Canon colors are good. But then when I get to the Fujifilm, I just say, wow. Because yes, the Fujifilm gives you that wow effect, undeniably. From my experience, the Fujifilm tops the color science. And I think the Fujifilm also handles the dark tones with regards to models, with regards to our context, with regards to our environment, with regards to the color white balance in our space and context. I feel the Fujifilm does best, does well at that, at handling that compared to the Canon. And also to add to the color science, the dynamic range. Fujifilm's dynamic range is just top notch. There's so much, there's a setting in the camera that helps you to change your dynamic range from, let's say, 100% to like 400%, or you leave it on auto. With every Fujifilm camera, this dynamic range is embedded in the body. So you have a dynamic range setting in the body. But unlike Canon, from my experience, I don't know if that has changed, but with the Canon, the better your lens, the better the dynamic range is able to handle. But with Fujifilm, you just need the body and have the dynamic range setting in there, and then you'll be good to go. Dynamic range handling on Fujifilm cameras are just top notch. So now we go to price point. Price point here, relatively, I would say Fujifilm cameras are cheaper. From my experience, then again, and also comparing market prices on B&H and I mean other platforms, I feel Fujifilm cameras are cheaper compared to the Canons. And it also depends on which model you are buying, because some of the models have so much expertise in them that they charge a whooping sum, and that you would have to consider that. For instance, even if I'm to do a comparison between the lenses, and this is where I feel Fujifilm takes it, in considering Fujifilm lenses with Canon lenses, I think Fujifilm lenses are quite cheaper. For instance, if you should buy a lens, a certain lens, a prime lens for Canon, for let's say for 8,000, you may get it for Fujifilm on maybe for 5,000 or 6,000. So the difference, let's say, give or take, is around 2,000 to 3,000 cedis, depending then again on the level, on the model, and the quality that you want. So in terms of price point, I feel Fujifilm cuts it, although it's not yet, it's not saturated the system yet. Buying a Fujifilm body is still economically sound compared to the Canons I'm seeing. So battery life, then again, my judgment here, I haven't used a Canon mirrorless, so I can't, so my assertion may be a little bit off. But should I do the Canon DSLR Canon experience and then the Fujifilm mirrorless experience, I'll say the Canon tops it in this category. The Canon batteries, they do last. I mean, a Canon battery can take you for like 2 days. Then again, also depending on the amount of work you load it with. But tops 2 days, you should be able to get your battery on the Canon DSLR system. The mirrorless, I welcome your thoughts. You can share how long your mirrorless body, the battery took you. But I know the gaps are not too great. For Fujifilm, yeah, tops you can get between 400 to 700 shots on a single charge, and that is something we want to consider. So as for batteries, I've tried to, buy tons of batteries, and something I'll still buy if the need be. To my last point, the creative sense. Creative sense, per my personal opinion too, I give it to the Fujifilm in this regard. Why? Because the colors inspire you, the body inspires you, the tactile feel of the camera has a way where like it makes you take your time to do that. Personally, I would say that I got to, see color or no, see light properly when I started using the Fujifilm. So for that, thank you Fujifilm. Because the mistake most photographers do is we are tuned with photographing the subject, but not photographing the light on the subject. Those are two things. And when you use a mirrorless system, I think so for now, I think all the mirrorless systems are able to achieve that. When you use the mirrorless system, that is able to help you to see light well, to see how it falls on the subject, and know how you're able to frame that will make the light complement the subject. So for creative sense, for me, I feel I think Fujifilm cuts it. Fujifilm simulation, they inspire you to keep testing, So you can shoot a project with just one simulation, find out how it feels like, and then change again to another simulation, find out how it looks like. And then along the line, you keep adjusting and tweaking to find out how these will complement your work eventually. So the idea of the film simulations is also very great. Fujifilm also has a software, an app on iPhones. I don't know for Android, but I have got to use it on iPhones, where it comes up with menus of lots of film simulations. They give you the processes on how to adjust the tones on the camera to be able to get particular film simulations, more like a film simulation menu. And so you may also want to consider that if you are someone who loves to explore. For me this year, I tried changing one of the film simulations for my photos from the Winnie Bar fancy dress. I decided to change the film simulation I was using, and I like the images that I got. Now the idea is, do I still maintain it, or I would want to try another thing? And that, I feel, keeps my creative sense up. It keeps it moving, and it keeps fire to the soul. The other thing about the creative sense is, if you're able to invest in more lenses, more like vintage lenses and all that, can adapt them to the Fujifilm body, you get a lot of feel, more like the vintage feel, the filmic feel, and all of that. And that can also inspire you to get out of your chair, want to try and see how a look is, and all of that keeps you shooting. It keeps you shooting. I use the I own the X100S, although I've shelved it for a while now. That camera helps you to, it helps you to keep shooting. You are curious about shooting. You are curious to find out how it looks like. That curiosity I don't get from Canon, but I get it from Fujifilm. So on the creative sense, I think Fujifilm tops it. I would like to also hear your experiences on the Canon versus Fujifilm platform. If you've used any other brands that you feel are quite similar in experiences with what I've shared, I'll be glad to hear from you. Thank you.